Watch this. You're going to be like so super impressed with this. This is high tech is what I'm saying.
Talk is cheap. It's overrated. My actions speak what I'm actually saying. And in the end, what you do, that's gonna hang around. I said talk is cheap. It's overrated. My actions speak what I'm actually saying. Cause in the end, what you do, that's gonna hang around. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things. Don't amount to nothing, nothing, nothing. Well, I've heard a lot of things. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things. Don't amount to nothing. Oh, well, I've heard a lot of things. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things that don't amount to nothing.
Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Talk is Cheap, the show where you get exactly what you pay for. Yeah, no budget, but we have a lot of fun here, right? That's right. And we have a great show for you tonight. I am so excited about my guests. I can't stand it, okay? I can't stand it is what I'm saying. So it's getting really cold here in New England. It like dropped down to like, I don't know, it was 50 something today. And now tonight it's going to be like 40 something. And I was cold and I want to put on the heat. And my husband thinks that I should wait until November 1st. And we always have this argument that I'm going to put the heat on soon is what I'm saying. I had to wear socks today. It was awful. Anyway, I'm always complaining about something. So how are you guys doing tonight? Make some noise in the comments if you're here, if you're joining us. And if you're not here, don't say anything. Well, anyway. All right. So we have an amazing show for you tonight. We have Tommy Moore in here. We found him. We found him. He was stuck somewhere in a corner. We grabbed him. He's here. He's on the show. We have, of course, the Chewy Cam. It's here. That's right. You guys ask for it every single week. We have it. We have Janine Williams back to give us some pro tips on toxic relationships. And you might have a few. I don't know. I'm not going to admit my toxic relationships, but I might have one or two. Anyway, and we have the incredible Eddie Brill is here on Talk is Cheap. I know, right? So you can tell there's a pandemic and because that's how I got the show started. Anyway, so let's see. Michelle says it is time for a campfire. No kidding, Michelle, right? It's freezing. How is it there? How is it there? Where are you? Something that starts with Oklahoma? Oklahoma. Yeah. Time for cute fall boots. That is the only good thing is that I get to wear, like, I get to switch up my wardrobe a little bit. I get to bring out my boots, which I love. You know, I'm a boot girl. So I do love that. Julie Newman says, yay, Eddie Brill. I know, Julie, right? I am so psyched. Karen says, I'm here, but I'm watching football also. Whatever, Karen. Like football over Talk is Cheap. Whatever. You know, get your priorities in order, but do what you may. You know, whatever. So we have such a packed show that I don't want to wait any longer to bring up my co-host. Okay. So sorry, I'll calm down. Okay. So for 17 years, he was the audience warm-up comic and comedy booker for The Late Show with David Letterman, you guys. He's been on over 100 TV shows in 6 different countries, and he was the architect and creative director of the Great American Comedy Festival, which honored Johnny Carson. And now, to catapult his career, where we have him here tonight on Talk is Cheap. Please welcome, you guys, Eddie Brill. Eddie!
Yay, I'm catapulted.
Yeah.
It feels good, actually. Got to get me one of them catapults.
Yes. See, it's just you are just now. That's it. It's probably in the tanker. Actually, your career now after so. But whatever, Eddie. I mean, I knew that you're probably a little bored these days. I'm like, you know what? Let him spice up. Talk is cheap.
No, well, actually, we met in Illinois, Aurora, Illinois, and you were hilarious. And that's how we became friends, because it was like a weekend of clean comedy and workshops and shows, and so when you asked me to do it, I had no problem whatsoever. I was like, let's do it. Come on.
Yeah. And you are so sweet, and you are just one of the most humble people. I'll try not to gush too much, but I can't help it because I just have such respect for you. I saw, first of all, your classes, you taught a class at the
I did a workshop.
Which was awesome. Amazing. And so I learned so much from that, and you critiqued our performances afterwards, and you were so great. You're so complimentary, and I didn't pay you that much for that, so that was good.
Yeah, and nice. Oh, and then Karen says I was a great tea. I met Karen.
Yes,
hilariously funny.
Eddie,
and then Michelle, yes, yay, Michelle.
Yes, she said you were a great.
My friend Julie Newman.
Yay, Julie. We're glad you're here. So this is one thing though. I know you're such a pro. You've been in the business for so long. And the audience that night was tired. They had gone through 5 million comics.
Yeah, that's the mistake sometimes when you have a showcase and you have 15 or 20 people. It's just unfair for the comics at the end, because the crowd's going to get tired naturally. They don't know what to expect, and it's just boom, boom, boom over, and they're drinking, and it's hot, and all that combination isn't beautiful.
Yeah. But Eddie, I saw you revive that crowd. It was like you took, because they were tired. You know what I mean? It was a long night, and you took those people from here to here, and it was just watching a master at work. It was
I'll tell you something, and I appreciate that, of course, but there's a rhythm to the room in a sense, and when the crowd is tired, that rhythm is very slow. So you join them in the rhythm. If I came out shocking, they'd be like, but you join them in their rhythm, and little by little you bring the rhythm up, and they don't realize that all of a sudden they're more hyper, unless they're really exhausted and they're like, we're not paying attention to this. But it's really it's kind of scientific in a sense, but it really works.
Well, obviously you have that mastered, and it was just, for me, I was just like, just watching, especially, I'm still a little green at this, and then I was super green. I was like a bright green. And
you were more a Kelly Green, I think.
Kelly Green, which is a good color on me. I'm not going to lie.
I thought that was your name, Kelly Green.
Yeah. But it was so cool. And you know what, Michelle, you're right. Eddie deserves gushing. He's brilliant. I agree. And Julie says, yay, Rhonda. Yay, Julie. We're so glad you're here. But no, that was remarkable. And I was so fortunate to get to witness that. And just, and now I can say, yeah, Eddie Brill's my friend. He's my bud,
I'm your co-host.
Yeah, you're my co-host.
Come on
now, right?
Come on.
That is awesome. That is
I'm proud.
Awesome.
Proud to be. And even though I'm in another part of the country.
Yeah. So you're in New York right now, is that correct?
I am. I have been here since. I haven't left town except for one day to go see my friend Julie, who lives out in Long Island. I went to the beach for one day. Other than that, since February, I haven't been out of New York.
Wow. So what's the scene like there?
Well, it's gone in waves, like everything, like the virus itself. When we first started, we got hit hard because all of the tourists from Europe were coming over. They had stopped the Chinese nationals from flying in, but they didn't stop 40,000, 50,000 other people from China that were coming over. They were letting them in. So all these people came through New York, and New York was the epicenter. and it was very dangerous. We lost 30,000 people or so out of this, each, 30,000. It's crazy. But at the beginning, everyone stayed inside, and you only went out to throw the garbage or,
Right.
whatever. But it was crazy because New York, the sky was clear, the birds were chirping, it really was like Mother Nature it was now resetting.
Yeah.
And New York City was very cool and very interesting and very different because it had this, like Mother Nature was like, look, you kids have been bad. Go to your room. I'm going to clean up out here. And that's kind of what happened. And the air was incredible. And it was, and we've come a long way. And now, we've gotten to a point where we had like 30 days without anybody dying, thank God. And that was really great. And now people I don't know if you can hear, but the streets are packed because all the restaurants, you can't go eat indoors. So they build these outdoor kiosks so that you can go eat outdoors. And then my street's busy and packed right now with masks and food.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I have to say something, like you take the most incredible pictures, just right? Are they just shots from your phone, right?
Yeah. And I mess with the filters a little bit, but it's become my new hobby. I just, for some reason, I've always loved taking pictures, but with the phone you can do so much, and it's really, and that's become this weird, cool new hobby with my spare time.
Well, you have, but you have such an eye. So, that creative.
Which one?
It's the left one, I think. That's the eye. No, but
yeah.
Really, it's so cool. I love seeing your pictures of the sky, and it's just, they're so beautiful. And speaking of beautiful pictures, Steve is here from Spain. And he posts the most gorgeous pictures of, like, he lives overlooking, I don't know, how I am with geography, Steve. You'll have to tell me where you're overlooking. I don't know. I know he's in Spain, and that's it. Don't ask me where Spain is or to point it out on a map. We've gone through this before on this
España. It's España is the real name.
España.
I always why did they change the name to Spain? Come on. The España is so much more beautiful. And it rhymes with more, it doesn't rhyme with as many things as Spain, Maine, Plain,
True.
But España, like, my friend Tanya, or, I guess that's the only one.
There you go. Oh my gosh. But Leslie says that she wished that she got to know you in high school more.
Yeah. But so now we're making up for it now later in life.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. So his place is overlooking the Mediterranean. And let me tell you, he posts sunrise and sunset, like, all the time, like with a glass of wine. There's always a glass of wine, which sometimes I think, like, I don't know if that's him or the glass of wine. I tease him all the time about that. But anyway, most gorgeous pictures, like, just beautiful. But anyway, so cool. So cool.
Yay.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I loved España. I went there when I was in high school. There was a trip. It was less than $400, and I had a paper route, and I delivered papers and saved my money, and got to go to España, and it was gorgeous. And I went all over that place. I remember one time we were in a cab because we had to get them. We told the guy, "Can you get there fast?" Because at that time my Spanish was pretty good. Tan rápido, tan rápido. So these guys going really fast, and I think we hit somebody. We heard like, boom, and he kept going. I was
like, my word,
somebody, but we made it on time. So there's
so that's
one less human, but one less bell to answer.
Oh my gosh. And that, I love your stories, and I have to say this, and I know I'm like gushing again, but and this is just true. Now, anybody who knows me, I'm not a reader. I don't, like, if I see, I'm to the point where if I see somebody that has a post like this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. But you are such an amazing writer. And I know everybody is waiting for your book because when are you gonna?
I'm waiting for a publisher. I've written 325 stories now, and I keep writing every day. But it's hard because, there's, in the publishing world, there's certain kind of, like, self-publishing would be best for me in a situation, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't have the time for all of that. I wish I had a publisher, and it's been shopped to a couple of them, but
Uh-huh.
I think they want more dirt and more, underbelly stuff, and that's not ever going to be anything that I would write about. But I think the stories I have are pretty, fun, and I've gotten better at it because I've been working at it like almost pretty much every day. I write a little, and you can't help but getting better. Like at most anything, like stand up, the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Right. Well,
It's funny because a lot of jobs in life, the older you get, the less, I mean, not all jobs, but there's jobs you tire, like
slow down.
pull back for the, Patriots. Eventually, after, when you're 45, you're probably going to slow down.
Yeah.
But as a comedian, the more stage time you get, the better you get. And you just get better and better and better. And so that's why Don Rickles or, George Burns or Phyllis Diller, we're still rocking it in their 90s, and George Burns 100,
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing. But you know what it is? I think, your stories are they're very authentic, and you have a way of drawing someone in, and no, but I mean, they're not. You tell it like it is. I like that. You tell it like it is, and just from your perspective, how you see it, how you saw it. You don't necessarily, talk dirt about somebody, but I
tell the truth,
yeah,
in a way that doesn't really hurt people.
Yeah.
And Karen asked that they want me to have an agent, and yes, I had an agent who shopped it around to a couple of publishers, and they didn't. I think they wanted. I don't want to say it for sure, but I think they just wanted some dirt. It's people will buy dirt, and that's what they want. But you can have. I've read many books in my life, and a lot of biographies and autobiographies, or like David Sedaris books. And they're not trashing someone who doesn't really deserve it, and everyone kind of knows it as it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, no, I like the writing, and I learned from David Brenner, the comedian, who told me, he said, George Carlin actually said this to me. The main line is, just give them your perspective, because they can't argue with your perspective. They don't have to agree with you,
right?
But they, it's like if they can argue the way you think or all that kind of stuff, but they can't argue with your perspective.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. Getting back to Steve, he said he wants to cover the wine is required by law in Spain. Yeah. Okay. And Jessica's here. Hey, Jessica. And she says now she has to look Eddie up. And where can I read his writing?
Well, on Facebook is where I put a lot of the writing, because on Twitter and on Instagram, I just put like little quick comedy, funny 1 or 2 liners kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, plus, Jessica, you have to look up his comedy too. I mean, that you have to look up. All right. So, wait, I just want to say hi. Leslie's here. She says, Eddie,
yay.
No dirt there, original and kind. That is so true, Leslie. And Leslie, thank you, because you were the reason that I got to meet Eddie.
That's right.
Clean Comedy Challenge, you guys. It was awesome.
Leslie and I have done stand-up together in the past, and we've worked together, and she's just so good to young comics, and
she really is.
There's a little gush her way.
Yeah. Hey, so we are gonna on Talk is Cheap. We try to leave people with a little bit of information.
We try to leave people
just a little bit, so they have a little something, a little substance, a little something
nice.
to chew on when they leave Talk is Cheap. And so we're going to bring up our next guest. She's a certified life coach with a graduate degree in human service counseling and life coaching. She helps people who feel stuck in their lives and are really ready to take action towards renewing their minds and brightening their lives. She's here. She's back on Talk is Cheap. This is a return visit because she's so awesome. Please welcome Janine Williams.
Yay.
Hey, well, we're so glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So how are you doing these days? How are you doing with the COVID-19.
Things haven't changed a whole lot for me with that because I still work from home, and so that hasn't changed. I don't watch the news anymore. That's like, my husband's
Smart.
retired. I work in the living room. He has to watch the news in the other room because I just can't have it going on all day long. But so things aren't too much different for us. But
that's cool.
I don't like that.
Earlier today, we heard your husband doing the dishes, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's COVID or not COVID. You're running the house. The news is in the kitchen. The dishes are in your husband's hands.
Which is really nice.
You are a good life coach. You really have your life well mapped out.
That's it. And so she's going to help us today. So Janine, what are you going to be, what's the subject you are going to be addressing today?
So it's going to be talking about detoxing toxic relationships.
Great. All right. So how do we do that? Are you going to give us some steps? Because I'm getting ready to write stuff down.
All right. Well, first, if you have a really toxic relationship, chances are you already know it. It's a really toxic relationship. And all kidding aside, if it's so toxic, it's abusive, it's emotionally abusive, physically abusive, then, get help right away. Don't try to do that on your own. Don't try to figure that out. Get help. Get yourself out of the situation and get help. But a lot of times when we're just trying to, when we're feeling stuck in life, and we're looking to make some positive changes, it's a good idea to just stop and just ask ourselves, who we surround ourselves with, who do we spend a lot of time with, and then ask questions like, who inspires me? Who makes me feel like I'm on top of the world or I can do anything? Who makes me laugh? Who just makes me feel good about me, being me, and I enjoy spending time with them. But who kind of brings me down, makes me feel burdened, makes me feel like maybe I can't do anything right. When I'm done with spending time with them, I feel energized and just, kind of low. And so there's a few things that we can do once we've identified, well, first of all, the people we identify as inspiring and energizing us, spend more time with them. That's going to be really great for you. But when we identify those that don't really do that for us, we can start asking a couple of questions. And one of them is, you can ask yourself what it is about them that affects you so much. And sometimes, and this has happened to me several times, is it could be something I'm actually struggling with, that this person displays something that I'm struggling with and I want to correct in my own life. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, they may not be toxic at all. It just may be a really good opportunity for you to make some changes, and you just happen to recognize it through this person. So that can be a good thing.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like? So that something that I might be doing. Can
you go over our house and
you just tell me what I'm doing wrong? No, I'm just.
Sometimes I can react kind of quickly, you know what I mean? I might startle easy or something, and I don't necessarily like that about myself. I want to respond with ease and calm in every situation. But so someone who also does that might actually make me very uncomfortable, because it's I see I do that and I don't like it, and I'm always working on that, and now you're doing that. So, that's the kind of thing I mean. That's the kind of thing I mean.
Yeah, because we project our fears onto others. So sometimes we see something in somebody else and we get mad. It's like with family, you know everyone so well. When they do something, you're like, oh God, and and you realize you're doing it because they did it, and it's just one big vicious circle. But I like your idea of starving the negative and feeding the positive, and I think that it's hard because a lot of people will find themselves going back to a bad relationship, even though they know it's a bad relationship? Why do you think that happens?
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say is, is it a confidence issue? Are you staying in that relationship because you're not feeling really great about yourself as it is, and you just don't feel worthy for something better? So that, again, that's a little bit deeper. That could even maybe go more into the counseling realm, but that can be the case too, why you're staying in a toxic relationship. So these are it's just a good thing to ask yourself these questions, like, why am I tolerating this? Why am I here? Is this truly a toxic relationship? And who do I want to spend my time with? Like, what do I really want, out of these relationships?
Yeah, I find that to be really helpful. We watch advertising on television or politics or even some religions that are extremists who treat us like we're less than great. Like advertising especially. And they go, you're a piece of junk and we have the product to make you feel better. So now we're walking around going, look, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. And we go through life and we don't deserve good, and we're not worthy, and it gets in our way. I know that's happened throughout my life and people I love and they're close to.
And that's why it's so important to have people in your life that build, that do build you up. And so even if you have someone who may be a little bit toxic, seems to drain your energy or whatever, another good thing to do is to lift them up. Like, start encouraging them, like start doing to them what you are looking for from your relationships. It might just be that person who's bringing you down has just never had anyone do that before. And so that may change the relationship too.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but then like anything worth it, I guess the hard work makes it all work.
And if it's something, you just can't change, it could be someone in your family, you can't just walk away from, but then you have to just learn how to set some boundaries, real good boundaries around your time, how much time you're going to allow yourself to be in that person's presence. Lots of good, self-talk, and get right back with someone else that brings you up. Like, there's things you can do there. And I've worked with a woman before that, she had a very toxic relationship in her family, and it just wasn't, she didn't know, really what could she do about that. And then the focus had to be more on her inner self, on how she was feeling and growing, and, and then putting boundaries around her time.
Yeah, I think that's why it's great to have a life coach, because someone different than your family, it's not really a therapy session, although part of it, you have to know therapy and the mind and everything. I remember there was a life coach I had talked to, and she was very New York, and I had told her, I don't take care of myself because I have to take care of everybody else. And she goes, well, why don't you make you one of the people you take care of? And I went, wow, yeah, okay, I'll add myself to the list.
Yeah,
and it made a big difference,
I'm sure. And then
my brother told me that, I would be like, yeah, right. And I love my brother. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Hearing it from another source, sometimes that's when you need to hear it from somebody from outside of your circle sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. For it to hit. And especially I was going to say husbands, but I wasn't going to say that.
I heard you.
That would be wrong if I know. My husband listens to me sometimes. Anyway, no, those are really good questions. Those are really good questions to ask yourself. And I do like the point too. Sometimes you are around somebody, and I know with me, I can feed off of somebody's energy. Mm-hmm. So if that is negative energy, I can feed off of that as well. So just a reminder of, you know what, maybe try to encourage that person. Yeah. Rather than kind of matching.
Right. Instead of
negative energy
there. Exactly. Yeah. And because chances are that they don't have much of that in their life either.
Let's lift us up where we belong.
That's awesome, Janine. Do you have a last tip for us?
Again, I would just say, if you're in a toxic relationship to the point of you're being abused, then, get help. Don't allow that to go on. You are worthy. You deserve better than that. And there are people that you can talk to and go to. So I don't want to take toxic relationships lightly either. I know there's just so many varying degrees on what that could look like. So I just want.
No, that's awesome, Janine. You're such a great help. Thank you so much for coming on again.
For inviting
those pointers. But you know what? If you want to follow Janine, you can. Janine Williams, Life Coaching on Facebook. And you have to look at her website. It's going by so fast. So, again, that was Janine Williams, Life Coaching on Facebook. JANI new _ life coach on Instagram. So make sure that you check Janine out. Give her a follow. She's awesome. I love you, Janine. Thank you so much.
Too, Rhonda.
Have you back again, as always.
Nice to meet you.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Bye. Nice meeting you, Eddie.
Bye.
Bye.
That was that. They said yes. That was very motivational, Tom. Yes, it is, and it's just it's a big help. And Steve said, "Good thing I am an angel who is sweet as pie." Yes, Steve, he is the sweetest. He is the sweetest. Oh my goodness. And Chris, you are such a silly guy. I'm trying to convince my wife staying 6 feet apart does not apply to our marriage. Sometimes, Chris, it does. Anyway, we have so much to get into because I am very, very excited to bring up my next guest. This is so cool. He started his stand-up career in the late 80s as part of the comedy team Cato and Morin. He's now continued to perform and today is part of a ministry called Laughter and Hope. Please welcome Tommy Morin.
Yay.
Yay.
How are you? Hello.
It's good to hear your voice.
Good to hear your voice too, my dear friend. It's been a long time, man.
I know. Tommy lived literally next door. Tommy literally lived next door on the other side of my apartment. And it was like a camp house. This building, this floor has had, Dave Chappelle and Jay Moore and Carlos Leon, who's, Madonna's baby's daddy and great actor and an incredible guy. I don't want to just, pigeonhole him, but Tommy and Steve lived next door, and Billiam Cornell, who writes for Family Guy. And I mean, we've had an incredible floor of talented people, but I haven't seen Tommy. When was the last time you were here?
The last time I was in New York was 2017, but the last time I saw you, we actually do you remember we had dinner together with Dominic?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was about probably like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the last time I spoke to you was probably, I don't know, maybe like 4 years ago. We were emailing each other back and forth, and you were doing the food thing, and I got to tell you something. That is exactly what my house looks like now. We are. It is all about the food, and all about getting the processed out of the house. And,
right.
We've
been lied to so much in our lives. And when I learned of the lies, I was standing on top of the mountaintop screaming, "We've been lied to, and help, everybody, run for your lives. We've been lied to." And it scared people. And my closest friends told me, just be an example. And instead of screaming about it.
Well, then you came down the mountain with the tablets.
Yeah, with the tablets. They were Motrin. There were 2 tablets, and I felt much better afterwards.
Oh yeah. Oh, you always. Oh, always.
Fever went down.
Oh, down.
Fever was better.
Bye. Oh, yeah.
Adios.
Hey, Michelle she's glad you're here. She's like, Tommy.
Yeah.
Jillian says, Tommy, best guy ever.
There you go.
And Michelle was saying, the floor sounds funny. Yeah, that's amazing. My goodness, what you've seen if the walls could talk, I bet.
We had a poker game here for like 23 years with comedians from all over the world who'd come here every Monday night. Even when I wasn't here, there were a couple of comedians who had my keys, and they would set the game up. And Jay Moore, when he lived next door, because he was there, he came over one time. He was like completely naked and ran into the apartment and ran around in circles, then ran back. Now we were laughing. It's like, oh, Jay Moore, but just he had to be in the hallway, for that little. At one point of that little jaunt, he was in the hallway completely naked.
Oh my word!
Oh, gosh, I think I remember that story. I do remember that story.
That is too.
Tony Woods lived on the
Tony
floor.
Woods. Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Neil Brennan.
Amazing,
just amazing comedians. Yeah.
Was it? What was it about the floor, man?
I don't know. It just they
like why not the floor above you? Why not the floor below you?
Yeah, the floor above me, they put on water leaks through them. It's a horrible floor. They have a kid. The kid runs all day long because he doesn't go out, and then now he's getting older, so it's like thud, thud, thud. He's like 25 now, and he's like running around like he's 8, and it's just screw that floor above us.
Forget the floor. Forget the floor above.
Yeah.
Forget the man upstairs.
How many apartments are on this floor? How many apartments?
Four apartments.
4. Oh my word.
Yeah. I once wrote a joke like that, but it was something like, I just want to thank the man upstairs, not God.
I remember the joke.
Yeah, but not God. The guy in 16, apartment 16.
The guy in 16C.
Yeah.
You're really, you need to wear slippers. You're very loud. You need to wear slippers.
The man upstairs. Ouch.
Listen, you used to do a joke. It is my favorite, has always been my do you know where I'm going with this? My favorite thing. I used to ask you to do it all the time.
I don't even remember.
And so I don't even remember the joke. I just remember somebody was going, rah! And then the other person went, rah! And then they went, rah! And it was like the grandmother got scared.
Grandmother's teeth. That's a true story.
Yes.
Will
you do that joke?
I don't remember exactly, but it was about my 2 grandmothers, and I had a Grandma Ida and a Grandma Gertie, and I pretty much lived with Grandma Gertie every weekend and was her slave, and she was, we got along, and my Grandma Ida lived in Ocean Parkway, in Brooklyn, and I was talking about Ida earlier today. Ida was like, she reminded me of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like smart, strong, tiny, power pack backbone, so Ida was always Ruth to me in a sense. But anyway, so I combined the 2 grandmothers, and a true story about Gertie is I went into her bedroom once and there was a glass of water with teeth in it. So I looked in the teeth and I was like, ah! And I screamed. I was a little boy. I never knew that teeth came out. And then she came in the room and like with no teeth, like, what's the matter, Eddie? And I freaked out. Ah! And then she screamed because I screamed. And it was, and then I added to it, like, I got your nose, Eddie. It's like, no, you don't. You're coming apart, not me. That was the kind of the idea. That was one of my earliest jokes.
When you used to tell that joke, you would do, so I saw the teeth and I went, and your hands were right next to your face, and you go, rah!
Yeah.
And then your grandmother looked, she got scared and she went, rah!
There's a guy named Wild Willie Parsons who's a comedian, and he always, when he calls me or I see him, the first thing he says, what's the matter, Eddie?
Oh my gosh, I used to love that joke. I was trying to tell Rhonda the other day, I'm like, he would go, rah! And the other person would go, rah! And then somebody else went, rah! And then all 3 people went, rah!
Something like that happened to me, and I wrote it recently. I was a little boy, and I was in Florida on vacation, and I was just by the elevators in the hotel where I was staying, and I was looking down. I don't know, 6 or 8 years old, and I'm just spacing out, and the door's open, and when I look up, Little Richard, the great Little Richard, Richard Pennymore, he was leaving to perform down the road at another hotel because, in those days, the black performers couldn't stay in the really nice hotels. So they had him staying at the mediocre hotel that I was staying at. And I looked up and there he was. And I screamed because he had like white caked makeup and it, you know, I would have been scared normally, but I just went from nothing to and he was looking down, and when he heard a scream, he went and then we both looked at each other for a beat and then laughed the laugh of 1,000 laughs. And it was such a great moment in history with the great Little Richard, and I was such a little boy.
And then he looks over and goes, "Were there alligators in the audience?"
Ladies and gentlemen,
do you remember that?
See you later, alligator. I do remember.
Do you remember that? I think that was somebody was describing the audience going crazy. I think it was Jay, and and you either you said or he said, and the audience went rah! And then the response was, "Were there alligators in the audience?" What was that? What was that?
I think he said that.
Oh, that's too funny, man.
Oh my gosh, you guys must have so.
Eddie's got bazillion stories. I got I got two. I keep using over and over again. That's it. Because I don't remember any. I don't remember anything. Nothing. It was all a blur. The fastest 3.5 years of my entire life. You saw the ride, Eddie. You saw the ride. It was lightning fast. Like nothing.
That's how
I've ever experienced.
That's what a comet is. A comet goes through lightning fast. Makes a big bright light, and then it fades.
I got to I don't know if you remember this. One night we were outside the Wilbur Theater, and we were headlining, and it was the summertime. And you remember this was when the Combat Zone was the Combat Zone.
Yeah, you go there for Chinese food or a hooker
or something else.
Yeah.
And you yes, right. So
right, I went for the tomato soup.
You went for the soup and the stew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You went for the egg foo young. It was delicious.
There was Tom Yang's or Uncle Tom. Not Uncle Tom. That's a whole different.
No, here now.
It was like an Uncle Tommy's Chinese kitchen had the best soup I've ever had in my life, and you had to go through the Combat Zone to get to it, and you're like, you'd act like you were really like, you'd walk through like you're the person to stay away from because there were so many guns and knives.
Yeah, you want to act crazy, so nobody bothers you.
And then you'd get into Uncle Tommy's soup house or whatever, and it was delicious.
That must have been some amazing soup because
I never liked tomato soup until that I went to Uncle Tommy's.
I'm outside the Wilbur Theater, and you come out to get me because we got to go on. Do you remember this?
I'm not sure.
We have to go on. You come out, and I'm sitting on the sidewalk, and across the street is a Cadillac, a white beat-up Cadillac with red leather interior, and there's a guy with a bullhorn going, "Jesus loves you. Jesus wants to come into your heart. He wants you in your. He wants to be part of your life." And I'm completely captivated, and I pull you down. I go, "You gotta watch this guy. He needs to open up for us. This guy's hysterical. Kato and Morin have to take him on the road. This guy is. Can you just watch, dude? You got to go on in like 5 minutes. I don't care. Just watch this guy with me. Absolutely hysterical. I can't even take it. This guy's killing me. He's hysterical." So we go in. Well, a year and a half later, I'm in the church that I was going to, and because I had my come to Jesus moment, which I know you heard about. Everybody heard about it. Morin got religion, and that's why they broke up, and so on and so forth.
I didn't hear any of that, but that's a whole other show.
Oh, that's another show. Yes. So a year and a half later, I'm in this little church, and ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome minister who ministers out in the Combat Zone? Unlike
oh my God.
And here comes this guy in the Reverend Al Bates, little guy like this, smelled like the back of a bus stop, and and I said, "I saw you a year and a half ago. I'm so sorry I made fun of you." "Well, I didn't hear you, so no big deal."
Uncle Bates, Father Bates.
Father Bates.
Yeah, in the back of the bus.
In the back of the bus. Amazing.
So, hey, you guys, I don't know if you know this, but here on Talk is Cheap, we do a segment here. See, nobody in my house will play games with me.
That's
So
not-
I know it's sad. It's a sad thing. It's
You got to bring the life coach back. Got to bring Janine back.
yes, I'm gonna have to have a little
Bring
private
Janine back.
session.
Bring Janine. Eddie and I know about the toxic relationships. I helped him actually with
Yes,
his, with
many.
his. Do you remember the weekend you were supposed to get married? And it was, I take complete responsibility for that not happening.
We got to hear this, guy.
I don't remember any of that.
So
I gotta find out.
So one day I don't know how it came up, but you're engaged, you're going to get married. And I said to you, can I ask you a question? Yeah. I said, does she find you to be the funniest human being on the planet Earth? And you looked at me and you went, I don't think she does. I said, then dump her right now.
That's so funny.
So then weeks later or months later, whatever it was, I'm in Nick's with Dominic in the office, and it's in the afternoon before prime time. And you walk in and you go, hey Dominic, you remember the weekend of the September 10th and 11th? And he says, yeah, that's the weekend you get married. He goes, yeah, well, I'm open.
Right. I was supposed to get married September 29th, 1992, which was 3 years to the day I met this incredible person who I loved very much, who lived in Connecticut. She worked at a comedy club, and we were incredible friends, but she had this weird jealousy thing. And she told me that from the beginning because, her father was not being loyal, and she found her best friend in bed with her boyfriend. So she had an issue with jealousy. And I tried and I tried and I tried. And she wanted me to not continue being a stand-up because she couldn't handle me on the road. Even though I was talking to her every moment I wasn't on stage, we had so much fun, and we laughed and we talked. And I just, after 2.5 years, and maybe the talk with you, what I don't remember, I was like, you know what? I need someone who wants to support me in my dream so I can support them in their dream. Yeah. And I didn't, we stayed friends for a long time because she was an incredible person, but it wasn't.
Well, mine had nothing to do with helping your relationship. It was all about
destruction.
My own ego, and how come she doesn't think you're the funniest person ever? What's the matter with her? What?
I don't know if she didn't think I was funny. She would, most comedy spouses, men and women, Rhonda, your husband, when you go, they support you, but after a while, it's like, I'm not going to go tonight. They're not going to go all the time. It's like, it's like, look, I'm going to go do something else. And she went to shows all the time, but she just didn't want me to do stand-up because she didn't want me on the road. She wanted me to get a job writing at a television show, in town. Yeah. And I understand that. That's what the kind of life she wanted. So you can't always put the two. You can't match, it's like that old game, and it doesn't match and the board goes back.
That's right.
I love that thing. Remember that weekend I was supposed to get married, September 28th and 29th? I'm open that weekend.
I'm open.
That's right. Now I remember that part of the story when you told it.
You do remember, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Hilarious. All right, you guys, we gotta do it. We gotta do it.
Game, yeah.
We gotta go back. No, these are great stories, and I'm loving it. Are you kidding me? Right. I want to say hi to Sally. She says, hi, gorgeous friend. I think she's talking to you, Eddie. I don't know, or Tommy. I don't know, whatever. But she said she learned from Eddie not to shame the audience if they don't laugh, and that she took that great advice.
Oh, good, yeah. Sometimes the audience sucks, and but you can actually turn them around. That's much more rewarding. Although getting big laughs is fantastic, but you can turn a mediocre audience around, and that's much more powerful. Because, harder work and more rewarding.
It's better. It's better for everybody. It's better. All right.
You are so stinking cute. You know that you got cuter as the years.
So cute.
You got Simon Birch.
He is cute. All right, you guys, ready? This segment is called You've Got Game. And today's game is Laugh Your Mask Off.
Yeah.
Okay. So the object of the game is we are going to have a comedian who has a mask on. Probably from around the 80s and the 90s. And you, my friends, are going to guess which comedian that is, just with their mask on, and then we'll have them take their mask off.
Cool.
So what I'm going to have you do is pick a number between 1 and 10. Alex is going to tell me what the secret number is. Okay, Eddie, you can go first.
I'll go 7.
7.
3.
3, and the number was, Alex, hold on. What'd you say? You said 7, Eddie? And
Yeah.
you said 3, and the number was 6. All right, I got it. The number is 6, Eddie. Eddie goes first. Am I correct?
I was going to say 6.
I was going to say 6, but I said 7.
All right. All right. We'll let you go. How about this? We're gonna let you, Eddie. We're gonna let you do this. The sample. All right. The sample.
Okay.
All right. So, Alex, can you bring up the sample? Do you know this guy?
Yeah, I know that guy. That's a picture of a guy who was in
I know
Montreal,
I know that guy.
and he was the great Dan Dion, the great photographer, grabbed me and put me took a photo of me, and that's why he's a great photographer. And the fact that he was able to put the mask on, it worked out even
He
nicer.
is amazing. All right, we will show the picture without the mask so we can get the whole view. All right, we're gonna put that up. Here it comes. There he
Yay.
is.
Oh, look at that
Look at that
guy.
darker
There you
hair.
go.
That guy.
Darker hair.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
handsome. Oh my goodness. All right. So, all right, Tommy. Since you're there, and we'll let you go. We'll let you go for the first one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Get this one. Right? Am I right? Is it? Yeah, Tommy. Go ahead, Tommy. All right. I'm so mixed up. This is why. All right. Who is this?
I have my glasses on. Hold on one second.
He has glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
All right, and audience, you can play along too. They're on a 30-second delay, so don't wait too long, Tommy, is what I'm saying.
He's got the same first name as our co-host tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy is correct. We can put
Eddie
him on.
Murphy.
Let's see. Eddie Murphy without his mask on. Ready? There he is. Oh, his
Now,
laugh.
He aged very well.
Yes.
Very well.
Yep. Dave Sinclair says, Eddie Murphy, you are correct,
Yeah.
Dave Sinclair. So, and Michelle, because they're on a delay, so just so you know.
Okay.
And Eddie Murphy, that's right, Michelle. So, all right. Oh, and Julie got it. Eddie Murphy.
Hey, Julie.
That's it. All right. So the audience likes to play along. So
That's good. Yeah.
All right. Eddie Brill.
Yes, Rhonda Corey.
Mask comic.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld.
It also looks like
is
Michael
correct.
Cohen a little. It looks like a skinnier Michael Cohen, the ex-lawyer. If you look back,
Here's Jerry without
Yeah.
without the
the-
mask on. This is a little older Jerry. So
yeah.
all right. All
Terrific
right.
guy.
Are you ready, Tommy Moran?
I am ready. By the way, I just want to say España lasagna. I've been thinking about it for the past 45 minutes.
You're right. That's right. Spaniel lasagna. Yeah. I'll get down on you.
Oh,
Tommy's on a little delay,
phrase. Phrase. You went to a phrase.
I went to a phrase.
We're doing words. What do we do?
Fine.
Phrase. All right.
That was too easy. Okay. All right. All right. So, all right. Ready, Tommy? Go.
Ready. Oh, my dear friend.
Love.
You're fantastic, Tommy. Tommy, you're fantastic. Mr. John Panette.
Yes.
John Finette is correct. Oh my gosh. he
I
just-
got a John Panette story too.
Okay. You can tell your story.
Do we have time for the story?
How long is it?
It's
36
about
minutes.
45. Actually, it was 45
If you can reduce it to like seconds, then yeah.
to seconds. Yeah, because you're done at 8:30.
Yeah, about
Are
that.
you done at
About
8:30?
that.
I met him when he was so new at it, and the people at Nick's Comedy Stop loved him and
Yeah.
wanted to sign him.
They signed them.
He signed him to a thing, and they asked the brilliant Kenny Rogerson if you could give him some material.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Kenny had like, reams of material because so prolific, and just the story is he handed John 2 books worth of his stuff and said, have at it. And, Panetta's just one of the nicest guys in the world, and
nicest guy.
Laugh out loud, crying funny. I recently went down a rabbit hole on YouTube one night watching old Panetta stuff, just laughing and crying. Yeah.
So funny. He comes so he's got to pick something up at my house. We're living in the South End, and this is before we moved to New York. And I said, here's what you do. I got a friend of mine. She'll be upstairs, and she's hanging out with us. Just yell up to her, three flights down. And he says, and she'll let you in. Just say, you know me. So apparently he buzzes the thing. He yells up, I'm friends with Charmy. Can you let me in? So he comes up 3 flights of stairs, and by the time he gets to the top 3 flights of stairs, he's dripping sweat. I mean, it was like summer. He's dripping sweat, and he looks at this friend of mine who's staying with us. She says, "There's no elevator here. There's no." She says, "No." He looks at her and goes, "How am I supposed to get down?"
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right, Alex, put up the next one. You guys, I knew you'd have stories to go along with these people. All right.
My hero, George Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
Carlin I saw him on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I'd seen him before on a lot of things in the old black and white television days of him. But, he was my hero and became my friend. And like, it's so odd, bizarre. His daughter is one of my closest friends, his girlfriend, Sally, of the last 10 years. I'm very lucky because she sent me his last photo. He took a selfie and sent it to her. And she gave it to me, and, not to share with anyone. I've never shown it, but just that I have the last ever picture he took. And he was so good to me and so good to comedians. He was so generous and so hilarious and such a hard worker.
Awesome. I've heard such great stories about him, that he was just the nicest guy. I got to see him in the 80s. I saw him at I think it was the Cape Cod Melody tent. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I remember he was your idol. I remember that.
Yeah, him and Pryor, kind of tied.
Okay. All right, Alex. This goes to Tommy.
I talked to him 2 days ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Louis.
Yeah.
Louis.
That's awesome. Yep. And Louis, here he is without.
You know what? I don't know what you love more, music or comedy.
Oh, music, I think.
I know you love music. You love music. You used to turn me on to some things, and I'd be like, really? Elvis Costello? What? I don't get it.
Oh yeah, look at the poster behind me. The Elvis Costello in New York.
Is there an Elvis Costello poster behind?
Yeah, from the 70s, late 70s.
Oh, I can't see.
Friend of mine
I
gave
see it.
and I still have it after all.
Wow.
This is so fun, you guys, for me. All right, Eddie, ready? I just recently saw this person performing.
Paula Poundstone, my favorite comic live. The best live comic I've, as much as, Bill Cosby's a jerk and more than a jerk, you can fill in with other words, but he was an incredible performer on stage. But there's nobody consistently funnier live than Paula Poundstone. And I've been lucky to know her, for 40 plus years. And she's still hilarious and smart. And there was a big benefit for Barry Crimmins, his wife, recently in Boston, and she was there. And it was just great to talk to her again. Anytime.
Were you there for that?
I was in New York, and I was at the Ding Ho back in the days, and they forgot sort of. I wasn't a regular, but I visited the.
Wow.
I started in the late 70s in college doing some stand up at Crossroads, and Paula was on the show at Crossroads. That's when I met her. So many great.
The Paradise as well.
Yeah.
You did the Paradise?
I performed at the Paradise a few times, and at Stitches next door.
Right.
One time I was at Stitches, and there's a million Stitches story. It's a great club and run by great people, Harry Conforti. And so I'm on stage, and they say Eddie Brill, and I walk on stage, and I see this couple sort of like talking to each other, like, and face like angry, like what's something wrong, and they got up and they walked out, and they didn't give me a chance, they just like they probably said, in my mind I heard, this guy sucks. Remember we saw him, and let's get out. And so I'm up on stage for 45 minutes, and in the back of my mind is a little, like, why did those people leave? And I got to find out, because they were talking to the doorman on their way out. And I went up to the doorman right after the set, and I said, what did the couple say to you? They go, they thought it was Edie Brickell. They saw the marquee, and I swear to God, they said, so when it was Eddie Brill, they were like flustered because it wasn't that. And the greatest part of that story is years later, she was on Letterman as a guest, and I got to tell her the story, and she loved it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
The fact that you're being tortured in your own mind.
I'm like, what did I know I'm not a great comedian, especially at that point in my life, I'm like, but really to get up and leave, I didn't let me see how I've grown.
Oh my
Check it out.
That is hysterical. And where was that?
That was at Stitches in
At
Boston.
Stitches. Oh my gosh.
Next
That's
door
so
to the
funny,
Paradise.
man.
All right, let's go. We got the
Oh,
next one
sorry,
Tom.
the next one.
No, that's
Okay.
all right. This is great.
So in between, we'll tell stories.
If you feel free. I mean, I don't care if it runs late as long as you don't.
What, Wanda? what, Wanda Sykes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew her when she was Wanda Sykes Hall.
Really?
She was married, and she,
Wow.
to Mr. Hall. And there was a great show. I got to do a show with her and Greg Giraldo at Maimonides Hospital in Brooklyn. Alan King had this thing called the Laugh Well, where he'd take comedians and we go to hospitals and we do shows.
Wow.
And whoever can make it in the audience would be there. And the people who could make it in the rooms, who were tethered to, devices of some sort, they would let them see the show on a video feed. So it was really fun. And, to be on with Giraldo
awesome.
and Wanda was amazing. And I just saw, it was really great. And that was the hospital I was born in, Maimonides.
No.
So I told the crowd,
so
I said,
cool.
look, this is the hospital I was born in. So if I don't do well tonight, I can say I was born here and I died here.
Awesome.
You went full circle.
That's awesome. All right, and one for you. Ready? Oh my gosh. Where are we? Okay, here it comes.
Rita Rudner.
Oh, yeah.
Rita Rudner, one of the best joke writers in the history of comedy.
I love Rita Rudner.
I don't know her that well, and I wish I did because I'm such a fan, but she's amazing.
Just her delivery, it's so tight. Her writing is so tight, and just her delivery, and I just love how she just knows right when to pause, and her style is her own, Yeah,
and you can see she likes Jerry Lewis because she has a very Jerry Lewis kind of cadence sometimes to her words, and I just love it. I might be wrong, or might be subconscious or whatever, but she's just such a great writer. I think of her and Emo Phillips as two of the greatest writer comedians. There are a million great ones.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to tell you something. I told this to Rhonda. You are one of the most amazing. If comedy had an electrical engineer, you are the electrical engineer of stand-up. You are so incredible with your delivery, with your cadence, with your demeanor, with your presentation. I mean, it is absolutely flawless, and it always has been. It always had, even back in the day when we would run into each other. It was I used to marvel because Cato and I had things on napkins. We didn't. There was no. And then
that has nothing to do with comedy. It's just a whole other.
It was just
hobby of yours.
No, it was just a whole. It was just like, oh, we're gonna do. Okay, what's that word? That's what we're doing tonight. All right. And you had this incredible, this painting that you were presenting. You really and I've always thought of that thought that about you, Eddie. I really haven't.
Yeah, well, that
And
was Carlin. Carlin really,
I'm actually not done yet. I'm in
Oh,
the middle of.
I'm just, one
No,
thing
no,
I don't
I'm
have.
not. You know what? Don't tell me. I'm still not done yet. I'm still in
Okay,
the middle of
one
something.
thing I don't have.
that
It's
you
hard
keep-
for me to take
You know
compliments.
what? Well, you know what? You are worthy. It's a WOR, and there's a T, and H, and a Y. I'm not a great speller, but I've heard the word worthy over and over.
James Worthy
Why-
was a
why-
very talented
I'm
basketball
still
player.
one more time. I'm still in the middle of something.
Okay, go ahead.
You,
Go ahead.
all you just want to move on to something else because you can't handle it right now. Just
I know
hug
I
he's-
yourself.
can't handle the
Hug-
truth.
Do me a favor. Hug yourself right now, would you please? Just yes. It's gonna be okay. And you know what? I'm gonna be the new. I'm gonna be the life coach from Long Island.
I feel much
worthy.
better.
You're worthy. Don't worry about it. Just kiss your hand. Kiss your hand. You're fine. You'll be fine.
I'm fine. I feel good.
All right, Alex, let's bring up the next one. This is for Tommy. We're getting it. We're getting there. Oh.
That's I cried. I mean, I'm sure many comics cried, but I really cried my eyes out. Robin Williams. I could not. I was hysterical. I was just, so much of what I do now and what I did when, Eddie and I would cross paths all the time was because of what I saw him do, and before that was Jonathan Winters. I mean, I grew up loving Jonathan Winters. If there was somebody that I emulated or looked at, was Jonathan Winters. And, when I would do different characters on stage, even now, it's because of him and then Robin Williams as well.
Right.
Amazing.
What's interesting is Letterman, I knew him for 17 years and, we would talk about comics all the time and who he loved and, who's new and who's old and all kind of stuff. But one time somebody in the audience before the taping started said, "Hey, who's your favorite comedian?" And I kind of stopped because I was like, "Oh, I've never asked him that and all these years. And he's never said the one comedian." And without pausing, he said Jonathan Winters.
Wow.
He said that was his favorite comedian. And Jonathan Winters is there. If you go on YouTube, there's a thing called The Stick. And it's 6 minutes of Jonathan Winters on the Jack Parr show, black and white. It is really one of the most brilliant pieces of comedy that have ever existed.
Did you ever see the one where he was interviewed with Ed Bradley at Robin Williams' home?
Oh, yes. I did see it. I forgot it was Ed Bradley.
When he does puts on the baseball hat.
Yes.
So Rhonda, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So Ed Bradley gives Jonathan Winters a baseball hat and he says, "What are you going to do with this?" And he puts the baseball hat on and he tucks in the top and he looks at Ed Bradley, who's African American, pulls it down and he looks at him and he squints his eyes and he goes, "You're free. You're free. You're free.
Wow."
You're free." And he puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "You're free." And Ed Bradley is doing all you hear is all the laughter from all the techs in the back. Ed Bradley's doing all he can not to actually fall off his chair. He's laughing so hard. He was absolutely.
Is that on
genius.
YouTube? Did you say that?
Yeah,
one?
that's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, and the stick,
great.
and the stick is also.
I definitely am going to check that out. I'm definitely going to check that out. June is.
I'm pretty sure there was a book.
Hi, June.
I'm pretty sure there was a book that
hilarious, Tommy. Julie,
Julie. Yeah. Oh, bless your heart, Julie. God bless you.
Yeah.
But there's his manager. I'm pretty sure, and I got this back in in 89 or 90. Do you remember this, Eddie? His manager put together a small book of all the voice messages that Jonathan Winters would leave. And
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, so it's a little thin book, and so the manager put it to paper. And some of these messages, back when it was a cassette tape, reel to reel, he would go on for 45 minutes straight in a character. So each page is a different cassette.
Great.
And it was absolutely just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
That is cool. All right, Eddie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. I love her. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Bring it up.
It's I know her so well, and I just did a radio show with her. Oh. And speaking of Emo Phillips, that's Judy Tenuta.
That is Judy.
Judy
Tenuta is just such a down to earth, she's so hilarious and so great and so silly. And one of the coolest moments for me is I was in Boston working the Comedy Connection, and they said, Judy wants you to warm up the crowd for her HBO special. So it was like, wow, that would be such an honor to do that. And I had to go back a day earlier to New York. So they called Paul and Bill over at the Comedy Connection instead of having me ask it, and said, we'd really like Eddie to come in. And they gave me the release, because Saturday night at the Comedy Connection was one of the greatest nights of comedy in the world. But I was able to go, and Emo and her were together. And when I showed up, I flew in, went right to in a car service that they sent for me. It was really fancy. And I pull up, and Emo goes, good, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And he turns around for me to follow him, and this big thing of lint, like a big ball of lint, was on the back of his jacket. And I said, Emo, you have a ball of lint on your jacket. And he said, I know.
That's it. That's
What?
it.
Yeah. And then I went it was this theater on Union Square. And it was a dream come true, because the audience was there for this incredible TV special. So yeah, the lovely Judy. We've done a lot of shows and radio together over the years, and she's just a good person. That's number one, and then hilarious.
Oh, I saw her when I went to the Cape Cod Melody tent. She opened for George Carlin.
Wow. How cool is that?
Wow.
So you get to see double superstars.
That was amazing. What an amazing night that was. I was so young. My skin was resilient.
Yeah.
I didn't have any. Anyway, yeah, it always comes back to me. All right.
You both look very young.
Who? What did you say?
Both of you.
You too. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm 87, and
you look fantastic, because you don't look a day over 84.
Yeah.
You look.
Yeah.
Well, the 80s did two things. You either got really beat up, which some people physically look haggard, really, or it was whatever you were doing back in the 80s with formaldehyde. So yeah. I've been pickled since 87. That's it. Yeah. I'm just buying time right now till things start falling down.
Tell me where I can go buy some, because
it's just so it's.
All right, Tommy, who's this guy?
So I wanted to say something before I said his name, but I'll say it so Julie Newman doesn't get there before I do. Steve Martin.
It is Steve Martin.
Who was it, Eddie, from Boston that was really influenced by Steve Martin? I totally forget, but it was somebody who's been around for a long time. I can't remember.
I can't think of it. I know that one of I was at Emerson, and I was in college, of course, and they came around where we were standing all on Beacon Street and said, hey, we're looking for people to usher the Steve Martin concert at the Heinz Memorial Auditorium.
Wow.
I was sitting with my friend Judy Tygard, who's a big producer at CBS News now. And back then we were like, let's go. So we got to see 5 shows of Steve Martin.
Wow.
The first show, he was really very incredible. Second show, and he ad-libbed like crazy. And then the second show, you realize he didn't ad-lib. He had worked this out. He was so brilliant at what he did that, of course, he would play, but he was so good. And I learned by the 5th show, so much about comedy, just watching someone that brilliant over and over and over and over again. Now, fast forward a million years later, I'm at Stand Up New York with Kevin Nealon, because he's going to do Letterman as a guest, as a comedian. So he's talking to his friend. He goes, Eddie wants me to do this German Shepherd bit, and I don't know if I want to do it. And the guy said, let me talk to Eddie. So I talked to the guy, and we were going back and forth. Yes, the German Shepherd bit, and this is how it goes. I even forgot what it was. And he said, yes, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. Let me talk to him. So I give him back the phone, and la, la, la. And so Kevin hangs up because, all right, you guys have convinced me. You and Steve Martin both have convinced me. And I freaked out because when I was talking to the guy, I was normal. If I knew it was Steve Martin that I was talking to on the phone, I wouldn't have been as calm and as, and weirdly enough, I was working at the best club in the world, which is no longer there, was in Paris, France. And it's Hotel du Nord. And once a month, they do English-speaking comedy. And there are all these expats in Paris from America and Ireland and England and Australia, Scotland, who were living there and didn't have any English comedy. So the Brits and the Irish comics and the Australian comics and myself and like Rich Hall and a couple other Americans would go over, Emo Phillips. And so Kevin Nealon called me, said, look, I heard you're in Paris. Steve Martin and Kevin Kline are filming the Pink Panther like down the road from you. Can they come to your show tonight? And I was like, oh my God, yes. So I'm like freaking out all day. They're coming to my show and, you know, I'm confident. And I'm like, just be confident. Just do what you do. I'm talking myself into it. And their filming went late into the night. They weren't able to make it. And that whole time on stage, I'm like, oh, la, 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 la. And I look out, the 2 chairs are empty. It was 4 chairs because they were bringing some friends. And so close. But I got to tell Steve Martin at least the story of seeing him the first time ever. And I know that was a long story, but he was the greatest.
I thought you were going to say, you know, show sold out. There's no way.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. It's completely sold out. The fire marshal comes in, shuts it down. That's the end of the gig.
Yeah, we'll all get kicked out.
I'm doing a second show at 1 a.m. Come.
But not in Paris. You have to go down to Nice and Monte Carlo. We're choppering down to southern France.
Oh my God.
But you know, at Letterman, a lot of the people would come and answer questions and whatever, but there were a few of them that really prepared for each episode. You know, Nathan Lane was one, and Steve Martin was one. And he would work on a whole thing just for that tape. He was so brilliant, and it was such a pleasure to be close to him, you know. That's amazing. His books are amazing if you ever get to read Steve Martin's books.
Yeah. What is it? Born Standing Up?
Yeah, Born Standing Up is amazing.
I think I remember. I want to say.
And say it.
I want to say Mike Bent. Hey, you're awfully pushy for a New Yorker. What's the matter with you?
I'm pushing.
Wait, you're shoving is what you're doing. You're not even pushing right now.
Say it. Mike Bent.
You're playing 7x7. You're doing a 2-hand touch with one finger. What is that? Oh my! Catch the ball. I think it was Mike Bent who was very influenced by. I might be wrong by Steve, but that sounds like probably that.
It does sound like Steve. You know that Mike Bent. You could see a little bit of that.
Yeah. Right.
What he does.
Right. I want to take. Can I throw in one more story? I don't know what is.
Wait. Let me just.
Go. I'm done.
One more. We've got one more for Eddie.
Well, I'm just going to give his phone number and then we'll just do this for like the next 3 hours.
Yeah, you should because, all right.
Interesting picture. It looks like, you know, it weirdly enough looks like Otto and George, you know, Otto from Otto and George, the great puppet, filthy X-rated puppet. But knowing you and what your show is, it wouldn't be him. And it's interesting, this angle. It also looks like one of the guys from Friends. Can you get this, Tommy?
You know what? I want to say.
You're just waiting until you figure it out because.
Yeah.
Oh wait. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't. Do I get the guess or no?
This guy. Oh my gosh! I remember just watching his specials and just
so now he's.
What city is this comic from? New York,
a little
Boston?
He's a little heavier. And his hair is less now. Is that correct?
He is no longer with us.
Oh.
Well, it's not Bill Hicks. It's not.
He's no longer with us.
Really is hiding it.
Man.
He really is hiding it because Perry Mason.
Are you ready?
Perry Mason? What are you, Nancy Drew? What are you?
Della Street.
Della Street.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
You want to know who it is now?
Oh, Rich Jenny. Yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't tell that.
Wow, you couldn't tell that at all.
He was the greatest, and he did hours and hours of material and never repeated the joke. Repeated a joke. He was
really,
incredible, and his economy of words, like, oh my word, huh?
Yeah.
When did he die?
Words. He was brilliant, and there was a joke that I had written. This is sort of George Carlin-esque story. I wrote a joke when I was a young comic. How can you have a word like nonchalant when there's no such word as chalant? And I'd acted out being all crazy when I was chalant and relaxed. Be like me, Ray, nonchalant. And that was sort of me being very relaxing. Well, Rich Jenny loved that joke. And whenever he saw me, he'd go, hey, be like me, Ray, nonchalant. And that was the way he would greet me. always. Weirdly enough, someone said, you did that on TV, and George Carlin does that joke. So I freaked out. It's like, I don't remember. I know everything he does. So I saw George Carlin shortly after, and I told him the story. He goes, I bought that joke off of somebody, and can I shake your hand, because I want to say that I met the guy who wrote that incredible joke. And he goes, I know you probably can't do it anymore because people think you're ripping me off, and it's unfair, but that's the way it goes. And the night he died in 2008, I spoke to Kelly Carlin, his daughter, and said, I'm going on tonight. Can I do the nonchalant joke? And she said, do it. And I did, But that Rich Jenny loved. He was great, and he worked at Caroline's Comedy Hour. He was the host, and he asked me to write with him, which was an honor to write with Rich. And I tried to write a funny intro for my appearance, and I wrote, "Your next comedian, you might have seen him on F Troop," which there's no way I was that old.
Larry
F Troop, right? You might have seen him on F Troop. And then the other part was put your hands together and keep them there. Because we usually say, put your hands together for Eddie Brill. So I said, put your hands together and keep them there for Eddie Brill. Well, he didn't go over the intros beforehand. And when he read it, he was like, okay, our next comedian, you might have seen him on F Troop. Put your hands together and keep them there. And then I went on, I did the show. And afterwards, he had to reshoot that intro. I said, I guess you didn't do any research before. He goes, no, I thought, everyone's going to have an intro. That's normal. And you're the one who's on F Troop, you fool.
So funny.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I told you it would go by so fast, and I knew the show would be so long.
Fast.
I would love to have you both back if you would be so kind. And I have you now that, if you say it, it's on film. So
all right. I'm in.
I'm in. I'm in
All
twice.
right.
I'm in twice.
All right, Alex, we have to show who's going to be on Thursday's show. On Thursday's show, my guest co-host will be the very funny Grace Klein. And featured guest, we have Andy Beningo. And coming back for some pro tips, we have massage therapist Karen Kwan. So I'm super excited about that. This show has gone by ridiculously fast, even though we've gone long. So I would love to have you guys back. It was awesome. Thank you guys in the audience. I didn't even tell you what you were going to win, which is unbelievable for playing the game.
He lost.
I lost. I didn't get Rich Jenny.
I know. You did win, Tommy. All right. You did win. Okay. Yes. And let me tell you what you've won. You've won the very coveted Rhonda Corey Comedy Hand Sanitizer.
I can't wait to use it, Rhonda.
With Rhonda Corey.
Not just any hand sanitizer. Tell her, Tommy.
Speaking of sanitizer, wait, I got to tell this story.
All right, one story, and then we're.
So this is another toxic. This is for the life coach. Eddie and I are walking up. Eddie and I, it's in the afternoon. We're walking up Warrington Street. We're going to Nick's. Do you remember this? We're walking. It was one afternoon, and this Regal comes down Warrington Street and goes up onto the sidewalk and stops directly in front of us. And the guy gets out of the car and looks at me, and he says, "Are you calling my girlfriend? She's my girlfriend. Were you calling my girlfriend? Do you remember this?"
No.
And you are, for the first time that I had known you, you're speechless. You're not saying anything. And that's
very rare.
And I'm waiting for you to say something, because you're going to say, in my mind, something way better than what I'm going to say. And so I look at him and I go, "Listen, man, I don't know. She reached out to me. I didn't know you were with a thing." And he goes, just like this, he goes, "So you're telling me she's soft? Is she soft?" And I went, "I mean, am I saying that to you? No, but maybe you already think that."
Did you know this girl?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, she was. Yeah. So It's a family show. We can talk about it afterwards. But so he says, "Because I'm going to go in the back of my car and get the baseball bat, and I'm going to make her softer than she is now." And I look at him and I go, if you want to, but that's not a great idea. Probably not. And then he jumps in the car, he leaves. and I think you don't say anything till we get up to Warrington Street. And I remember talking to Steve later. I go, I don't think Eddie's going to want to hang out with me much when he comes to Boston. It's not. He goes, why? I go, I'll tell you later. It's not a big
Yeah,
deal.
I need a baseball bat. That's what I need to do. Come up there with a
Oh my God.
Brad.
You guys, you have to come back and share some more stories. It's been fun. Yes, June, it was a really fun night. You guys can, we can play backstage if you want. Chewy Kim, I just have to show Chewy is still sleeping. This is great because he did have his quiet moments before the show. Yes.
Quiet moments brought to you by Half Overnight Dog Food. I don't know if I'm doing Don Pardo or Ted Knight. I
think you're doing Ted Pardo, the combination.
Don Knight. This is Don Knight.
Episode 44 is out.